selling me, sings my healing song. I am whole, I am healed, I am free. I am the creator of my reality. I let go of pain, I let go of fear. I step into my truth, my vision clear. I am light, I am love, I am peace. In this moment I choose my release. I am worthy, I am enough, I am pure. My heart is open, my soul is sure. I am whole, I am healed, I am free. I am the master of my destiny. I forgive, I heal, I rise above. I am the frequency of infinite love. I am whole, I am healed, I am free. I am whole, I am light, I am love, I am peace. I am whole, I am healed, I am free. I am the creator of my reality. I am light, I am love, I am peace. In this moment I choose my release. I am worthy, I am enough, I am pure. My heart is open, my soul is sure. I am whole, I am whole, I am whole, I am healed. I am whole, I am healed, I am free. I am the creator of my reality. I am whole, I am healed, I am free. I am light, I am love, I am peace. In this moment I choose my release. I am worthy, I'm enough, I am pure. My heart is open, my soul is sure. I am whole, I am healed, I am free. I am the creator of my reality. I am whole, I am healed, I am free. I am light, I am love, I am peace. I used to wait for something in their faces, in their tone. Didn't know I was handing my power to places that were never home. I thought peace would come from answers, from a yes, from being seen. I didn't know expectations were just quiet deals with disappointment in between. I gave meaning to reactions, made silence mean I failed. But the truth is people only meet you at the level they feel. And I learned the hard way, no one's here to complete me. The moment I stopped expecting, life started treating me freely. Expectations feel like hope, but they're pressure in disguise. You don't get hurt by what they do, you get hurt by the story in your mind. I only get disappointed when I expect it outside of me. I was looking for love in their reactions, while everything I need lives in me. I let go of expectations, I stop asking them to see. I turn inward, feel my own foundation, and suddenly I'm free. I believe in me no matter what, I believe in me no matter what. Everything that happens serves my highest good. I don't need proof, I know I'm guided, yeah. never walk my road. I expected celebration, expected hands to rise. But freedom doesn't come with witnesses, it comes when you stop asking why. Now I don't need them to clap, I don't need them to agree. When you expect nothing from others, you stop negotiating who you get to be. No expectations doesn't mean nothing, it means I don't abandon me. I stay open without attachment, and lies meets me. I only get disappointed when I expect it outside of me. I was looking for love and their reactions, while everything I need lives in me. I let go of expectations, I stop asking them to see. I turn inward, feel my own foundation, and suddenly I'm free. I believe in me no matter what, I believe in me no matter what. Everything that happens serves my highest good. I don't need proof, I know I'm guided, yeah. No applause in the room, no one saying you made it, just me breathing in my truth. And finally not fighting it, I stopped waiting to be chosen, stopped needing them to stay. I chose myself in silence, and that choice didn't fade. I believe in me no matter what, I believe in me no matter what. Everything that happens serves my highest good, everything that happens serves my highest good. I don't need proof, I don't need signs, I know, I know, I know, no expectation, only trust, and that's where peace begins.
Hello, how's everyone doing? Hello, Erin. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome. I am very excited to be doing this. Um, this is going to be at the same time very similar and very different from the retreats that we've already done. Um, it will be quite similar to the January retreat about like the shedding, because bringing that alignment into the physical requires a lot of releasing. And we will, I will just let you know through those 3 days why it's more about releasing than bringing. But before we do that, just a few words of housekeeping. So I will share my screen again. Uh, Let me just see here. So this is the school community. This is the school group where we all are. Um, so whether you're live or watching the replay, I want you just to have a look here on top of the community tab. There is the post that's pinned, and it says Mother's Dojo Day 1 Reflection. So after this video, after this call, I would like everyone to go there and just share one thing that stayed with you after the call. Um, and also, we will be talking a lot about um, what our body is telling us. So the second question is what you notice in your body today. So what is your body telling you, and why it's so important? It will be explained during the call. So this is the reflection post. And then I will also pin the replay here. I will share here, I will share the replay link here. But also you can go to the classroom, and here's the Mother's Dojo. If you click it, this is where you will find, oh, I wonder why the post isn't pinned here. It should be pinned here. Oh well. Let me just, oh, it isn't pinned. Okay, now it's pinned. So you can see the reflection post. So I will upload the video here and a few words about what we talked about today, and then the reflection post. So do share that if you feel like it, if you have a really big aha, or not even very big, but something that you feel might be helpful for other moms, feel free to just create your own post. Just use the category reflecting and share your reflections here in a separate post. This is yeah, this is how we create those bonds and the sisterhood in the community. So that's that. And okay, so what is my purpose? Like, why have I created this community in the first place? Is because I believe mothers are, like, motherhood is kind of flipped, like the ideas behind it are flipped in our society. So the very thing that creates the society, because like society is people and people come from a mother, and yet motherhood in our society is viewed as a nuisance, as something that has to be like survived, rather than something that is the very making of humankind. So I have this beautiful vision, this dream that we can shift how motherhood is viewed in our society by creating this ripple effect, by starting with ourselves, because all those negative beliefs about motherhood are already ingrained in our subconscious. So starting with ourselves, eradicating those negative beliefs that motherhood is difficult, that motherhood is hard, that mothers are isolated, unsupported, undeserving, all those thoughts that have been put into our heads since we were very young kids. This is where we begin. And then by the way we show up in our lives, by the way we show up in other mothers' lives, that's how we create that ripple effect that will slowly change how society views motherhood. And it's already starting, it's already changing. If you look around, if you look what was the balance 10 years ago, it's already shifted a little bit, and it's going to shift even more. And I'm not doing that so that I have an easier way of life. I'm doing that so that my daughter has an easier way. I'm doing that so that my children both live in a society that supports families, that supports motherhood, that allows for that village of support to be a natural thing, like the default, not something you have to strive for, not something you have to fight for, but that village of support is the default. And mothers are always supported. They don't need to like prove that they're worthy of help, that they're worthy of support, because motherhood was never supposed to be a lonely journey. Actually, there are studies, there's some research that proves that if a mother is isolated, her mental health goes drastically down. So motherhood is not supposed to be a lone journey. We are supposed to be in groups, in circles of women, as well as being supported by men. Um, and that's how I see it. That's how I want it to be lived again. That's how I want it to be lived again. So someone might say it's quite naive, like I am an idealist, but I used to be an idealist. And as a teacher, I wanted to be like the perfect teacher, always there for my students, but at the same time, always there for my personal kids. And the clash between the two was so terrible when I became mom for the first time, that everybody expected me to show up for free, like it's doing some extra activities for kids for free, while my own child required childcare. And I realized that there's something wrong in that system. Like if you are required to sacrifice um, your family life in order to be perceived as good enough, not even excelling, not even charitable, but good enough, then there's something wrong with the system. And what I see nowadays in that workforce that is basically made for men, because 100 years ago we stepped into that men created workforce, and we were expected to work like men, regardless of our natural biological rhythm, regardless of other expectations that still stayed on our shoulders. We are supposed, like, this is how this patriarchal society views it. We are supposed to work just like men, and we are not created that same way. So I want also, this is my second biggest dream. Like it's the same dream, but it has a different aspect. Of course.
Nie może, bo jest w toalecie.
Okay. Możesz się przywitać.
Mamo,
Co? Amelka, ja mam teraz nagranie.
ale chcę się tylko tu zapytać.
No dawaj.
Czy już wyszła paczka z moją
Jeszcze nie.
zombie Monster High
Jeszcze jej nie ma.
i figurki?
Jeszcze jej nie ma.
A kiedy przyjdzie?
Amelka, nie wiem, ja nagrywam. Na żywo. Bye bye. She just came from preschool. My husband just brought her home.
Oh,
So
nice.
she just needed a little bit mommy attention.
Yes.
So the thing is, in that masculine driven workforce, we are not able to fulfill all the expectations as a mother, as a worker, as an employee. That's why I believe that feminine driven businesses should be built differently. We should be able to run our businesses the way that's aligned with our own natural rhythm, that are aligned with our own needs, and also our capacity. So this is how I run my business, and this is how I help other moms run their businesses, so that they allow, like, the business is built around your family life rather than your family life around your business. So that's that. So, but what's, like, coming back to the body and to the, or maybe there are any questions because I could talk and talk. Any questions or reflections so far?
Sorry, I'm eating breakfast as I as I do this. So I agree. Like they, as a teacher and a mom, that's like a whole other level of tired. I call it soul tired, like sometimes. Because you are expected to kind of put your family on the back burner and care for everyone else's child. And so I definitely agree with that for sure. And now I'm kind of, I told my principal, superintendent, boss, you know, my contract hours are at this time. My family comes first. And since I've said that, it's been better. Like I just had to finally set that boundary and be firm. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge. That's a very important step. And sometimes we shy away from doing that, but just saying, like, this is when you pay me, and this is when you no longer pay me.
yes.
So
Yeah.
why should I even spend my time here if this is like for free? This is not my hobby, this is my job.
Yes.
Yeah. So I felt the same way for a very long time. Like I was even told by other teachers who had kids older than mine when mine was a baby that the teacher's child is always seen as the neglected one because the teacher is always like this self-sacrificing, overgiving kind of person who um like this idealist who wants to help those other kids. And I felt like, oh, this is definitely not what I want. So that was
Yeah.
um one of the very first moments that, oh, sorry, someone is asking for the link.
Oh.
Um, how do I, so I am on my laptop and she's on Instagram. So I think I might be able to just open Instagram on my computer. There it goes. Haha. All right. Have to ask her if she didn't get it through the email because I sent the emails twice today.
Yeah.
So hopefully she should be able to get the emails. So we will see. Okay, so yeah, the teacher's child, like the always neglected one because the teacher wants to give to everyone. So like setting that boundary, like you cannot save the whole world. And even though I'm an idealist and I naively think I can change the society, I know I am not able to directly help and support everyone in the world. I know, sorry, my cat just left and she, of course, left and kids are watching something loud on the TV. Um, so yeah, I cannot help everyone in the world. I'm just helping the people who want me to help them through my programs and my community. And I know that's a lot already. And when I was working at school, I knew I wouldn't be able to be a mom for all those children who had like a home situation that I wanted to change for them. Like I wasn't able to do that as a teacher.
Yes.
So actually, that was like the first thing because I noticed there are kids in schools that the school can only oh cats. I'm just looking like every cat, she would just go in, go out, go in, go out. Um, so I noticed as a teacher that there were those families, those kids that whatever work I did with them during the school hours, and when they started already functioning better socially, getting more open, less aggressive, all those things, then something happened at home and we had to put all the same work all over again. And I realized that helping the child at school is only part of the solution. The biggest bulk of help needs to go to the parent. Unfortunately, those parents aren't the type that actually want the help.
Yes. Yes.
But the thing is, that's what pushed me into creating first my parenting blog, then my parenting coaching business, and now my motherhood community and motherhood support business. No, she's not joining. I don't know. I think she sees the link.
Oh,
I will just see on my phone if it got sent from the computer at all. Because if the no, it's sent, so she should be able to join that. I don't know, maybe she's struggling with some techie issues. So anyway, I wanted to help moms so that they can help their kids because that felt like the more efficient way to actually helping those kids than sending them to school and then getting them back to the same imperfect. Like imperfect is fine, but those kids I talk about, those kids that actually inspired me to that work, they actually come from toxic families.
yeah.
They had some toxic experiences, relationships at home. Um, so now I don't work with parents of such kids because, as I said, those parents are usually at the stage that they don't want to be helped. But by creating that ripple effect, I know that sooner or later we will have impact on those people too. We just need patience, and even if it doesn't happen in our lifetimes, or even if we don't see that result, I know it is going to happen. Because time is infinite. Like even if I don't do that, someone else will do that, that will carry on the work that I do. But why do we start with the body? We want to bring the 5D spiritual insights into the 3D. This is the purpose of this very retreat. So it happens all the time. I meditate, I go out of the meditation, I'm all like aligned, elated, ascended, all joy, love, and light. And then something happens, like my kids start screaming, or one is shouting at the other one, and I get triggered, I get dysregulated. And instead of responding, I react based on their emotions and I reflect. I'm also an empath. And when they get angry, I sense that. And quite often I do internalize that emotion. And we do that like, as empaths. This is the biggest problem that my empathic clients tell me, that they take on the emotions of their environment, even though they're not theirs. And they act on those emotions as if they were there. So this is also something that we will be solving during this retreat. So first of all, there are certain triggers that get us out of that aligned state, out of that good feeling, ascended love and light vibe. And those triggers are usually the same things. So, and I'm so excited to talk about that because this is exactly what I started my coaching practice with. I started with something called Stop Yelling Challenge, and my first program was on anger regulation for parents. But it's deeper than that. It's deeper than just emotional regulation. It's deeper than just being able to react or respond rather than react. When we get triggered, it's a pattern that gets activated in the brain because emotions are not there because something happens outside. Emotions are created when something happens and you create a thought about that. So depending on what you think about the situation, your body creates a different reaction to that. So for example, and this is an example I used for the past 5 or 6 years in the Stop Yelling Challenge, the shoes in the hall. Like your kids come from school, they drop their shoes in the hall and go to their room to play. One mom goes to the hall and she sees the shoes and she thinks my children are disrespectful. She gets angry. Another mom goes to the hall, she sees the shoes and she thinks, oh my gosh, I have so much to do and now I have to pick up those shoes. She is overwhelmed. Another mom goes to the hall, she sees the shoes and she thinks, my children feel safe to be children because it's very rare quality in a child to actually put their shoes away if they're tired, triggered, overwhelmed, and just think of one thing, which is rest, which is getting their brain to decompress after bracing themselves for hours at school. Because school is demanding not only because of like the intellectual demands, but also the social demands on the kids. How does that land?
That makes a lot of sense. Because even as a teacher, you have those kids that in your classroom they feel safe and they will act different for you than another teacher, or they, like you said, take their shoes off. Like I have kids that literally be like, I'm hot, and they'll just take their shoes off. I've had, kids call me mom. Like once they just get comfortable, their behavior is different, if that makes sense. Nice. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So we have different expectations. Like every person has different expectations. Someone says, the kids will be kids. Kids just behave like that. This is normal. This is age appropriate. And someone else will say, I want the children to be not seen, not heard.
Yes.
And that person will have very different expectations. And those expectations create, like the way we think, they create the emotions in our body. So that's one thing. Another thing, like where those thoughts come from, they usually come from our own childhood. Most of the things we think, there's actually, they say that 98% of the thoughts that you think every day, you've already thought them the day before. So only like 2% of the thoughts that you think might be new. So we repeat the patterns every day, the same pattern, the same thoughts, the same things. And this is why we get stuck in a loop. And that's why changing your own habits, changing your patterns is so difficult. Because the mind wants to stay in one place because that's safe. The mind wants you to stay safe. It's been working so far, so why change it?
Yeah.
So the thing is, when we get triggered, there is usually a thought pattern that creates the emotion. So if you're able to stop yourself in the moment when you feel the first signs of anger, that's mastery. That's literally the top level that I've been teaching for the past 6 years. But if you can do that, you can simply notice the emotion you're feeling and trace back to the thought that created that emotion. So, for example, I see my husband left his socks on the carpet in the living room. And he just went to work and I'm left home with all the mess. Like it's just a sock. But it triggers something in me because of the way my mother always insisted that you must not be your husband's maid. So him leaving one or two socks or one pair of socks on the carpet in the living room, it's something that happens quite frequently. It shouldn't be an issue just picking it up because it's just one piece, one thing. But it does trigger me because of the thought that I've been forced to listen to over and over throughout my childhood. But recognizing that pattern leads you to the source of it. And when you go back to the source of it, you realize, okay, this is not my thought. This is something my mom told me. It might have worked for her, but do I want to repeat that? Like my husband and I are very different people. We have very different priorities when it comes to how we run our home. And every person, this is also something I noticed on one school trip. There were 3 teachers and a class of kids. And we noticed that every one of us had a different kind of thing that triggered us. And we told, like one of them always told the kids to put their chairs, to move the chairs to the table when they get up from the table. Another teacher was very sound sensitive, and she always told the children not to shout. So each and every one of us focused on a different thing, and one of them said something like, maybe if every one of us focuses on that one particular thing, we will actually be able to get like a well-rounded group of kids after the school trip. It was like 5 days. And I realized it also works in relationships. You don't have to do the same things to share equally. I don't have to do 50% of the dishes and leave the 50% of the dishes to my husband. I don't have to do 50% of the laundry and leave 50% to him. We can share differently. We can share the things that we are good at. Like I have my routine in the morning, and during that routine, I focus for 1 hour on housework, and I try to do all the housework that I need for that day within that 1 hour so that I have the rest of the day free, so that I can focus on my business, my kids, my family, and myself. So I squeeze that. I do it very efficiently, um, and it's done, and I don't have to think about it all day. While my husband, he has a very different style. He wakes up, it takes him longer to wake up on his days off, and then he does the things that are priorities in the moment. So I have my routine that I always do the laundry, the dishes, and then like the kitty litter. So I have those things. Like I'm probably autistic, so I have a routine, I have a list. He looks around and sees where's the biggest mess, and he deals with that, which is perfect because if I see a mess, I put it at the end of my list, which means it rarely gets done at all. Well, he has that ability to prioritize, which is priceless, which is something I actually admire him for. So those socks on the floor, they are part of my routine because I do the laundry first at like 8 in the morning. So before he even gets up, I'm already angered by the socks on the carpet. And I stop myself. I recognize the trigger, I recognize the pattern, and I realize, okay, I can pick up those socks. But I know he will deal with something else during the day. He might be able to make dinner that day, which is huge for me because it frees my mind space, it frees my time. Or he might do some renovating because we are always renovating something. Never ending renovation. Or he might just, I don't know, fold a huge pile of laundry that's always there. Or he might do some deep cleaning in the kitchen. So he will just look and see what's the priority at the moment, and he will just do that. So different systems, but they are kind of complementary if you think about it. I make sure the most important things get done every day, and he makes sure that what has piled up is dealt with before it overwhelms me. All right. So yeah. Talking about the triggers, going back to the topic because I digressed about my husband and the housework. The triggers. So if you can stop yourself when you begin feeling angry, that's the mastery. But you cannot start with the mastery. You can do that for a day or two or three, but that's very difficult for your subconscious because you have to put a lot of attention into that. Easier thing is just noticing the signals from your body. Do a regular check-in. Check your body, how you're feeling. So you notice those early signs of getting frustrated, of getting irritated before you get angry or before that anger spirals into rage. If it spirals into rage, the only thing you can do is leave and go for a walk. That's what happened to me like 6 years ago or 5 years ago. That was me. I went into the rage stage because I was this isolated from my body and this misaligned with what I wanted from my life. I went into the rage, and as soon as I recognized it, I couldn't even say that I was sorry because I was so like in that anger energy. But I just left the kids with my husband, went for a long walk, and after even like 3 to 5 minutes of walking, I already noticed my body getting calmer. So by the time I went back from the walk, I was in a very different state. So know your body, know your triggers. So your homework from now for those like 2, 3 days, and possibly later on, we will see how it goes. Maybe you will want to join us and in our kind of like membership subscription system, which is called the Hearth Light. The Hearth, like the women sitting around the fire at home, a women's circle sort of thing. It's not a literal women's circle, but I kind of like to think about it as such. So the thing is, when you get triggered and you notice the early symptoms of that, and in that moment, you remind yourself one thing that you got in that meditation state. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. You detach yourself from the situation. You realize that it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. Because every experience you have is something that your soul came into this world to experience. Whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, those unpleasant ones have a meaning too. So I like to think about it like playing a role play game. I don't know, like tabletop RPGs, like Dungeons and Dragons or Warhammer or things like that. I used to be a big player of that. Like that's how I met my husband, actually.
Nice.
So I used to be very connected. I identified with my characters a lot. And if my character was going through some hard time, I literally felt as if it was happening to me. So what helped me was realize, like thinking of the character in third person, first of all. So saying like, it's not I am going to die soon. It's she is going to die soon, and I'll be able to get a new character sheet. Even though I love the character because you put your energy, your time into creating that, but you realize that this is just a character, like a book character or a movie character. It's not who you are. It's just something you play as. And it's the same when you realize the 5D is the player, 3D is the character.
Mhm.
And when you realize that I am a spiritual being having a physical experience, even those negative experiences, they suddenly they may not make sense in the moment. But if you think about it, every one of us had some negative experiences in the past. And they were devastating. They were really hard. Like every one of us has lost a relative, every one of us has lost maybe a job, maybe went through a hard time at work, maybe went through a serious illness.
Mhm.
Everyone has some kind of experience like that. And if you go back to that moment in your memory, in that moment, you probably felt like it was the end of the world.
Yeah.
And if you look at it from the perspective of time, you might notice there were so many things that happened later, so many wonderful things that wouldn't have happened if that terrible thing hadn't happened. For
Mhm.
me, it was my mental breakdown when my son was 2 and I was trying to be this perfect teacher. And that pressure on myself to be the perfect teacher, the perfect mom, the perfect everyone caused me a mental breakdown. And I had to, I literally left my work for 2 months and went to therapy. And during that therapy, I realized, because I realized that my emotions, my anxiety was weighing on my son, and he started having anxiety. Like he wouldn't let me leave home. He had problems sleeping. He became much more clingy. So during that therapy, I realized, I discovered for myself the process of emotional regulation. And from there, I created my blog, I created my coaching business, and I created the community of Awakened Mothers Rising. As a result, it wasn't like a one-step thing, it was a very long process, but I wouldn't be here if I hadn't gone through that mental breakdown.
Yeah.
So it did make sense. It didn't make sense then, but it does make sense now when I look at it. So even if you're going through something really hard, really difficult, something devastating, remembering that you've already gone through equally difficult things and they made sense later on, that helps you have this trust that this is just a temporary state right now, even if it feels like the end of the world. It's a temporary state, and in the future, it will make sense, even if it doesn't make sense now.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, but this is also a digression. I'm talking about so many different things today.
That's
Instead of
okay.
just focusing on the subject, like the trigger and the body reaction. This is the key. This is what I want you to focus on now, because in order to bring those 5D insights into the 3D, you need to learn your body reactions. And imagine yourself a baby, that you are just learning your body anew. Even if you've already learned, known some things, just start with that curiosity again. Like, what does this feel in my body? What does that feel in my body? How can I interpret this signal? What does it mean? Just learn the thoughts that you're having. Learn the feelings, sorry, learn the feelings in your body that you're having. Notice how different situations feel. You can even notice during the day how your mood changes as the day progresses. whether you're more tired, whether you're happier, because different things might happen. How outside circumstances impact how you feel. And if they do, notice what thoughts you have, because sometimes always, the outside has no meaning unless you give it meaning. So if something happens to you, you interpret it in a certain way, and then you feel a certain way. And your body is your compass, your guidance system. The way your body feels in certain situations is your guidance system. So we haven't even touched the higher self, the 5D self of yours. Today we are just talking about the body, how your body reacts and responds to different situations. Because tomorrow we will be talking about safety, feeling of safety. And there are two things that instantly trigger lack of safety. And there are lack of time. Because if you think about it, if you're in a hurry, you instantly drop into that fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
You are disconnected, you are in that doing state. And if your child is having a meltdown at that point, you are not able to connect in order to help them process the emotions. You need to pause, to stop, to go out of that rushing feeling, to connect with the child and help them through the meltdown. And the second thing that triggers lack of safety is lack of money. So those two things. So if you ever feel you have no time or no money, just realize the last time you spend time or money on something just for you. Because what helped me most was saying that affirmation. Someone told me that I have time and I have money for everything, which didn't really feel real to me. It didn't feel true to me. And the thing is, like Abraham Hicks says, every thought is two thoughts, the thing you want and the lack of it. So if you think, I have time for everything, but your subconscious says, nah, it won't work. So I tweaked the affirmation and I started saying, I have time for everything that's important to me. And it did two things. One thing is that it actually felt true enough for me to realize that I have time for the things that are important to me. If I don't have time for something, it means it's not important. It's not a priority. And the second thing, it helped me realize that I do have control over what's important to me. Scrolling is not important. So, like if you can sit and scroll, you can do something that's actually important to you instead.
Yes.
And the lack of money thing, the same thing. I have money for the things that are important to me. If my child is sick and I don't have much on my account, I still buy the medicine they need because that's important to me. So I have time for what's important to me, and I have money for what's important to me. These things are also like how our subconscious mind works. If something is your priority on the subconscious level, you will always make the time and make the money to actually have it.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or reflections so far?
No, but right after you talked about time, I have to start driving to work and I lose cell service. So I'm gonna have to get off right now off of the meeting. So That way it doesn't cut out on you.
All right, lovely. I was just going to wrap up, just talk about the womb healing workshop and the book giveaway.
Mhm.
And that's it. So thank you very much for coming. I will just
Thank you.
speak to the void for the people who watch
Sounds
the
good.
recording. And yeah, thank you very much for joining today.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So yeah, so I just wanted to mention those two things because tomorrow, which is Saturday, is the third session of womb healing workshops that we started 2 weeks ago. By our lovely Jane, who is a Reiki. I think she's a master teacher. She also works with angels and other kinds of energies and has quite a lot of experience, also personal, with womb healing. And I realized that the womb is the center where lots of feeling and lots of what I talked about today is located. So if you don't feel safe to feel your emotions, it might be the womb space calling for help. So I highly advise for everyone to join those womb healing workshops. If you want to join, just DM me and I will send you the links. It's included in the monthly subscription, because Awaken Mothers Rising is a free community, and within the free community we have two subscription levels. So the mid tier is the Here Flight, and it's $27 per month, and it includes monthly sessions within that circle and weekly sessions. And this month, the womb healing workshops with Jane. Next month, I plan to introduce something more with another of my lovely clients. So there will be something happening, I hope, every month. And it's just for $27 a month, which is still, because you get 4 or 8, depending on your time zone, sessions a month. Where like I offer my coaching, so you can even get like high-end coaching in during those sessions, not only like a women's circle, but also something more valuable. And you get those workshops right now, the womb healing workshops that tomorrow is the third one, and other things. And also just wanted to let everybody know that if you follow my Instagram, I posted about a book giveaway. This is like a book. This is the book my daughter wrote. She's 6, the one that entered the session at the beginning. She's 6 and she wrote this book with my help. It's a children's book addressed for kids aged 5 to 7. But it's so fun that smaller or older kids might find it interesting too. There's a lot about self-acceptance and not fitting the box, being who you are instead of who you are expected to be, which is a message especially important for girls, I believe. So my giveaway also has a deeper mission. So I want you not only to like and follow, but I also would like you to dress your kid in a pink dress, because like that's the whole thing about the goblin who wanted to wear a pink dress. Wear a pink dress, or get your kid to wear a pink dress and do something very goblinish, not very princessy. And post a photo and tag me. So if you want to take part and get a signed copy of the book, plus some bonuses. I'm actually crocheting a headband in goblin green and pink. So this will be also included in the giveaway. So yeah, that's that. Thank you very much for watching and hope to see you tomorrow, 1 p.m. Central European time. And yeah, share your reflections. in the group. So thanks again and see you tomorrow. Bye.